So this is for EOL number 8, and in this EOL we talked about the importance of having students involved in like IEP, progress monitoring, and how to do it. So the first article I read was how to help students lead their IEP meetings. When we involve students in IEP meetings, it teaches students to take ownership of their education and learning, and it also has proven students who are involved in the process know more about their disabilities, legal rights, and appropriate accommodations than other students who are not involved. And the student gains increased self-confidence and the ability to advocate for themselves, and all this is going to be important when the student graduates from school, because they'll be able to carry this out into the real world. And it has also increased parental participation, which kind of surprised me because I didn't think those two would have a correlation, but they clearly do. So there's different levels of student involvement. At meeting level 1, students present information about his or like reads from his or her transition plan for the future. Level 2, students explains his or her disability, shares information on individual strengths and weaknesses, so the present level of performance, and shares information on and explains the accommodations needed. And then they also apply everything a level 1 student would be doing. And then they may suggest new IEP goals. So then level 3 is the most involved a student can be in the IEP plan and process. So level 3 students leads the conference, and then it includes level 1 and level 2 responsibilities, introductions, and closing. So the Individual Disabilities Education Act, we've talked a lot about this in several EOLs, requires the transition process to include inviting students to IEP meetings when needed transition services are going to be discussed, and ensuring that a coordinated set of transition activities are based on students' needs, taking into account the student's preferences and interests, which is another reason why it's so important for the student to be involved, because obviously you know yourself the best. So the preparation sessions for involvement in IEPs and transition planning that follow are designed to be used with students with mild to moderate disabilities. These sessions actually really interested me because I can see how they would be helpful. So session 1 essentially is going over laws and rights with the student, and it's important to use student-friendly language, and it's not only going to be helpful to students, but it's also going to be helpful to the parents too. So then session 2 is if the students' first IEP teachers are going to discuss assessment information, including career interest inventories and transition needs, which we learned about this in one of our courses. So that's kind of just sparked like memory of that. So then during the second session, for those students who have a current IEP, the individual student and teacher will read sections from the student's IEP together, highlighting sections of the IEP in which a student disagrees or has questions, and placing check marks next to goals that the student feels have been met. Then prep session 3 is in preparation for the third session. Students contact their teachers and parents to request their input concerning individual goals, including their opinions about whether those goals have been met. Before the meeting, a student and the teacher make and modify lists of strengths and needs according to each subject, and they use these lists along with input from teachers, parents, and others to develop new goals and benchmarks. So this is just continuing to progress the IEP as they get older. So in the 4th and 5th sessions, these kind of go together. In the 4th and 5th, the students and the teacher review the proposed goals and the effectiveness of accommodations that are being used in each class. During both the 4th and the 5th sessions, the student uses the draft IEP to practice his or her presentation for the IEP meeting to support student involvement. Other students who have previously participated in student-led IEP meetings may model how to lead a meeting. And then finally, prep session 6 is, in some cases, 6 meeting is scheduled for additional discussion and practice. Teachers might videotape it so the student can see how they're doing. So there have been results in studies that have proven that by doing these prep sessions and involving students in the IEP meetings, that students are going to be more involved and did contribute to the meetings more. Students knew about their disabilities rights and their accommodations more, and students gained increased self-confidence and were able to advocate for themselves, and as well as parent participation was increased, and all those things I mentioned earlier. But that just goes to show that by doing the list of prep sessions and educating your student on how to be part of the IEP meeting, how it pays off. So then the other article I read was actively involving students with learning disabilities in the progress monitoring practice. So students with learning disabilities who have an IEP are progress monitored regularly, as we know, to ensure that appropriate growth is made toward meaningful and measurable academic goals, and if they aren't, then we're able to adapt. So students with learning disabilities are going to be more likely to have lower academic self-efficiency and more likely to believe that their intelligence is fixed. So in other words, they feel like their intelligence is never going to change, which is not true. But that's why we have to be responsible in proving that to students. So although research has validated the effectiveness of progress monitoring feedback and goal setting with students, few resources are available to support teacher implementation of these. So the PFGS routine includes 6 brief activities that are going to help include student involvement in this. So this occurs immediately after progress monitoring has been collected using the typical or business as usual procedures. So then we're going to go around and kind of work with the student in the 6-step procedure to increase their involvement. So first we talk to them and we're like, now I'm going to calculate your score. Then secondly, we're going to include specific true and positive feedback, such as I like / notice that you. Then step 3 is going to be let's add the new score, repeat the score to your progress graph. Step 4, we're going to collaborate, do collaborative data analysis. Like, let's look what this graph shows us. Did your score go up? Did it go down? Did it stay the same? etc. And then step 5 is going to be reflective questioning. Like, what is something that you have been doing to help you improve? So the student is involved, sharing how they believe they've helped make their score go up, or maybe what they could do different if it went down. And then step 6 is finally going to be us giving our opinion by saying something along the lines as, I'm going to think about how I can help you to keep improving. Do you have any ideas of what I can do to help you improve, to assure the students once again involved? In all this, it's a simple technique, but in turn, it's really going to help the students stay involved, and in turn, it's going to have a positive impact on the student's grade and the overall classroom environment, and then just your relationship with the student.